with wonderful people all over this country. She is a beautiful
Guyana will become the next Dubai, and we, the citizens of Guyana, are super excited to benefit from our homeland the same way the citizens of Dubai benefit from theirs.
This is what life is like for citizens from the Emirate of Dubai.
Guyana will become the
Charles, 10 seconds.
10 seconds.
Turn on the TV, turn on the TV. Yeah, turn it down, turn it way down.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Globespan24x7 as we come to you tonight here from New York and of course Guyana and around the world. Tonight we want to talk about rights of children, sexual and domestic violence in a patriarchal society. And I'm laughing about that because we did discuss about this earlier before the session, that is it really a patriarchal society? We'll explore that with two of our amazing Guyanese women, former minister in the PP administration, Ms. Indra Chandapal, and Ms. Nicole Cole. She's the Commissioner of Women and Gender Equality and Rights of Child Commission. She's Vice Chair of the UN EU Spotlight Initiative. Ladies, welcome to the program tonight.
Thank you very much, but I'm here in my capacity as a chairperson of the Women and Gender Equality Commission.
She is.
Excellent. Yes, Ms. Cole?
Thank you very much. And all courtesies extended to the listening audience. And of course, courtesies to the chairperson of the Women and Gender Equality Commission, to which I'm a proud member.
Thank you, ladies. And of course, we want to thank our audience for joining us tonight. And of course, Noir Singh for making this platform available. And Ryan Gobin, our technical specialist for tonight. Of course, with me also is my co-host, Dr. Rose. Dr. Rose, welcome.
Thank you, Charles, and welcome, ladies, to this program. And I hope we have a good time in telling the truth, what's happening in Guyana.
Once the men behave themselves, we will tell the truth.
Okay.
Ms. Chandapal, I'm accused on previous session when I call former ministers minister, they say, oh, they're not minister anymore. But in my old book, I think once you're a minister, you know, you're a minister. Some people say no, okay, but would you mind if I say Ms. Chandapal today?
That's fine.
Okay. So Ms. Chandapal, you're in a very important role here in Guyana, as Ms. Cole mentioned as well. Can you tell us, our audience, exactly what the role your organization play in the lives of Guyanese?
Well, firstly, let me thank our listeners, and I want to extend warm wishes to both of you or everyone here who is responsible for bringing this program together. And I am happy that my colleague, Commissioner Nicole Cole, is with me. She herself is a very valuable member of our commission. So what are we here to talk about today? We are here to talk about the issue that you have asked us to talk about. And in my capacity as the chairperson of the Women and Gender Equality Commission, we have been given a mandate by the Parliament to undertake a number of things on behalf of women and men in our country. So when we talk about gender equality, we don't only talk about women, we talk about men and women. And so I just want to make that very clear. We have sought over the years to ensure that in our activities we invite men to participate, but they're still very hesitant in coming forward. And I'm sure that in the future, we will be able to bring them to come on board to help us in changing the narrative out there with respect to the way men and women see each other. So we as commissioner, the Commission on Women, The Constitution provides us with 14 mandates that is enshrined in the Constitution, and we are required by the Parliament to do all that we can looking at those 14 mandates and see how we can unravel all these issues that are out there affecting both men and women. And the topic that you have chosen, rights of the children and sexual and domestic violence in a patriarchal society, is an important topic. Important from the premise that patriarchy is such an old, I would say it has been with us forever. Except when we had the matriarchal society, when the men used to go out and do the hunting and the women used to stay home and manage the homes. After the matriarchal society collapsed, I think, and men started to take the lead role in a lot of things in society, it has never changed. It has never changed. And so that is a big issue that we will talk about later, but I wouldn't go into it right now. Just to say that I'm very pleased to be on this program and to share with you and our audience what we are doing in Guyana to combat this issue.
Thank you, Ms. Sandipal. Ms. Cole, in addition to what Ms. Sandipal said, and it kind of looked dichotomy there in terms of, we talk about gender equality, but you two amazing women are in the Women's Commission. How do you differentiate the Women's Commission from gender equality? What part or role does men have to play in that organization, if any, so that we can have this gender equality we talk about?
Okay, Nicole, go ahead.
A very important role I think that men have to play is to pay attention to their behavior and how it impacts the women in their lives. And so with the very thorny issue of violence against women and girls, it is men who are the predominant perpetrators of sexual and domestic violence. All the stats have pointed to that fact. We live in a patriarchal society because it is men who are in power and men who are in control. So as much as women are going to school, women are graduating, women are in the parliament, we still have not reached parity, 50-50. And I know the chair will speak about this. So women continue to struggle and to battle the system of patriarchy that uses violence as a mechanism to control everyone in that sphere. And in the system of patriarchy, women are the ball. I've done my homework. We are the ones who will get beat up and pummeled, and also men who are viewed as effeminate, men who are viewed as not masculine enough, they too will feel the fist. That's the reality of patriarchy. So when we look at the whole system, we know where the violence is coming from. The violence is used to maintain an order. How do the state maintain control? Who do they send out there to maintain the control? Who is predominant in the discipline services? It is only in recent history that women have been accepted into the military and certain spheres. They're still fighting for equality in the church. As a member of the Rastafari community, I'm the first former female vice president. But when I took that leadership role, you could have heard the tectonic plates shift in the earth. There was a seismic shift. The men were upset. Why were they upset? Because a woman, a man with a womb, ascended to the leadership. Totally upset. And I challenged the man. I said, why? What is wrong with me? He said, you're not a man. Do you know what he was telling me? He was just telling me in very diplomatic terms that I don't have a penis. Because patriarchy is all about the symbol of power, the symbol through which men derive their power. It's through their genitalia. It's in all the worship books. And so he was telling me that in plain language, I can't lead because I'm penisless. I thank you.
Ms. Sanapal, you mentioned a very important, you made an important statement before Ms. Cole came on, and you said that in the days of old, when the men went out to hunt and they had to get the livelihood, for the family, the women was at home to take care of the family affairs. And I don't want to pretend that I am anti-woman working. Please don't feel that way. But I'm saying, has the world changed? Have our children been robbed of the great joy of having their mother there when they come home from wherever they go, whether it's school or wherever, and when they come home, mommy is not there because she has to work? Has that changed our society, or has it made it better in your view?
It's a very interesting question that you have raised there, but one has to look at it from different premises. In the sense that if we take that argument to the fullest, we may want to say that in society, that the roles that we have are clearly defined, that a man must work and go out and bring in the money, and a woman must stay home and take care of the children. But society has changed, and one has to remember the role of, when we talk about development in the world, in the sphere of labor, look how labor has changed. And when I made reference to men used to go and gather wood and hunt, and collectively they will kill an animal, that was in an environment when they had to pool their energies in order to survive. But over the centuries or thousands of years, we have seen changes where, because as a result of the technological revolution and everything else that happened, that women can enter into any fields they want because it is much more simpler today. Think about now the fact that we can have this conversation. Think about the fact that a woman can press a button and do anything he or she wants to do. Things have changed, but what has happened is that women who have always been considered homemakers are saying that we stay home, we do all the work, but yet our work is not valued. Nobody values our work. We are considered homemakers, we're on wage, we have no rights because we're always told that you did not work, we work. And there is a famous story in which they talk about the woman on a daily basis will undertake about 10 different roles, but she's not paid for not a single role, and yet she's told that she's not working and she has not contributed because her labor is not valued at all. So what we have seen as the society evolved, more and more women are going out to have an education. And with an education comes an expectation that you will want to go out and have a job based on your training or your skill. Because women for centuries have been oppressed and they have been exploited and they have had to endure all kinds of oppressive behaviors. And up to this day, we can see in some countries the oppression under which women are living. And Nicole refers to patriarchy in the sense that it is a system of society or government in which men holds I would say the power, and the women are largely excluded from it. And if you were to look at the statistics, the Interparliamentary Union, they said that in the whole world, there are only 26.6% of women are members of parliament in the world. So when we talk about women, you know, fighting for a little space at that table. It has not been an easy battle. And I want to make reference also to the fact that it's only in 1910 that International Women's Day started out, in which women were fighting for their rights, or they're asking for one day. But 2 world wars, the First and the Second World War, prevented all of that. All the development and all the things women wanted to do was prevented because of world wars, where their families, their homes, everybody was destroyed in many parts of the world. And hence, you know, it's like you start developing all over again and try to win concession, wrest concession. It was when the United Nations in 1975 talked about the decade for women, 1975 to 1985. The CEDAW Convention came into being, and all countries around the world were required to sign on to that CEDAW Convention, in which governments were required to undertake a lot of things. In Guyana, we, as of 1981, we set up the Women's Affairs Bureau, and there was a state paper on women, and we see gradually women start, you know, speaking out. More and more women were talking about women's rights, and we have seen today almost all groups are celebrating International Women's Day, recognizing that, you know, it was a struggle in which women were fighting for their rights, referring to 1845, when the women in the United States, the garment workers, they went out and strike against their bosses because they were living and working under horrible conditions. So one has to see that that struggle is a long one. It has been ongoing for so long. And the fact that we can only have 26.6% women MPs in the world, it shows that it is going to be, and it is a challenging task, because when we talk about bringing up children into this world, we expect that there is something called shared responsibility between men and women, because the men will go out and work, they come home, they take off their shoes, they sit in the rocker or the hammock, and then the women got to be serving them, you know, and this has been the way. So but today, no, hold a second. The women, a lot of the men in Guyana, when they were in Guyana, they never wanted to do nothing in the home. Both of you will attest to that. But when you go overseas and your wife got to go out and work just like you, because one income was not enough, you learn how to cook, you learn how to wash, you learn how to do the groceries, because you had no choice. And we have seen, I know it because all my family are living overseas, and I've seen it. Some of them who refuse to do anything home are suddenly the best cooks, and they will say to their wives, you don't cook, I will do the cooking. So we have seen a change because it's because of necessity. That is why it is happening. The shift is so important because it is necessary for people to have shared responsibility. I've said my piece now, and I will shut up, and then we'll continue.
No, you answer a litany, you've given a litany of answers, but you didn't address my question. But I guess, I know you, I want to ask Ms. Cole.
No, there can be a yes and no in this.
Okay, I agree. But Ms. Cole.
There's a history that you have to talk about.
I agree.
You're not in the court here.
No, I agree. But Ms. Cole, Ms. Shana Paul mentioned a lot of things there, which I totally agree with. But you know, there's also a saying that the hands that rock the cradle rules the world, right? And you would have heard many times a guy misbehave, and then you would hear the comment said, your mother didn't raise you up that way, right? And the question is, was there a mother present when the child came home? And what I'm saying, and again, ladies, please don't think I'm against women going out in the field to work. But what I'm saying is that has the shift in our living dynamic, has that contributed significantly to this matriarchal or patriarchal society we talk about, where men think that they're macho because there's not the mother there who could have instilled more values to them of what their roles should be when they grow up to be man in the society? I mean, Is that something that we should talk about or no?
I like how you're not addressing the elephant in the room. You have pushed everything onto women.
No, please, no. I'm just giving the discussion, not on.
Hold on, sir. It is men who impregnate. Let me say that again. Babies only come forward because it is men who impregnate. You have the X and the Y chromosome. I have 2X. If you give off an X chromosome and it mixes with my Y chromosome, that's a boy. That's biology. That's not gender and socialization. That's science. If you give off an X and the X comes with my X, because I only have 2 X's, it's a girl. So men determine even the sex of the offspring. That's men. The responsibility of raising a family is on both parents. And let me emphasize that as a social worker, it's on parents. Yes, the shift and the burden placed upon women to do the same unpaid care work that Mrs. Chandapal spoke about, then she still goes outside, because I want to tell you where the shift is, sir. All the research have pointed that whilst women have gone in to the workplaces and the conference rooms and work equally to bring home the bacon, mind you, they're not paid equally. Many of them work jobs whereby they're underpaid. Few women are working for more money than men, as much as we are going to school and graduating. Guess what all the statistics have shown, sir? Men do not, and I want to emphasize, do not participate in the care work as they should. That is not equal. So even when Women and Gender Equality recommended paternity rights, you ask about men. And if we're concerned about men, of course, we want you to have equal rights to nurture that baby. The baby that you impregnate and put in the womb, we want you to be there. Do you know what women are crying out saying to us? That, oh God, you're giving them paternity leave? Don't go online more with the boys. They're gonna stay home. We want men to be at home with the children. We want you to get up late at night when that baby is crying and help with those duties. We want you to come to the clinics. I worked in a health center and we did everything possible to encourage more fathers to be present in the prenatal as well as postnatal care. Men have a role to play in the upbringing of children, and it is time we move away from it only being the mother's responsibility. Fathers who impregnate, they too have a role, but the women have been shouldering this burden. We have been the burden bearers for centuries. We continue to bear that burden. If you were to look at the GDP and the GNP of nations, the work, the unpaid care work that women do is never calculated. Do you want to put a cost to that? Look at the World Bank report, look at all the reports and let it tell you how much billions of dollars that women, the work that we do, every role that we perform, and we're not valued in that role. We continue to struggle, sir, in a patriarchal world. Look at CARICOM. Would you like to tell me how many women are there as prime ministers? We had 2 in Kamala and the Jamaican prime minister, Portia. But now we have one. And I'm fearful.
And Eugenia Charles as well from Dominica.
That when me,
Eugenia Charles. Eugenia Charles.
Eugenia Charles from Dominica.
Used to be.
Okay, that was, well, sorry, I'm just in my 50th year. I don't know if it's my time, huh? But I'm like CARICOM at 50. So I'm saying that where women have ascended, it has never been easy. And you know what is sad? We are not supported as much in the sisterhood like how the brotherhood supports men. That's why patriarchy is so strong. Brothers support the brothers regardless. The sisterhood, and Mrs. Chandra Paul knows I've been saying this, the sisterhood needs to be more firm and more strong and more resilient to support sisters. I am only prepared to vote for female candidates in 2025 on any side. I am not voting back for any men. That's my own personal thing I've said. I've had enough of the abuses of men who use women to get into power. It is the women who put men in power. You remember that I said this tonight. No man sits in power without women. It is the women who put men in power who then turn around to treat them as pawns on the chessboard.
Dr. Rose have to come on now, but before Dr. Rose come on, Ms. Cole, we have a list system. We have a list system, so there is no female candidate you're voting for. You're voting for a list, so that might dirty, not necessarily what your objective is. But one thing I want to say before Dr. Rose come on is that, yeah, we can talk all the things so that men are such, they're not part of the family and or raising the children, which is true in most cases. But again, the Bible says also, raise a child the way he or she may go, so when he's old, he'll not depart from it. And that's what I'm saying. Motherhood there is so important, also fatherhood. But, I don't want to go more into that, but Dr. Rose, over to you.
Run away from the fact, sir.
All right, okay.
Must play a more integral role in raising the family. Absenteeism of fathers is where the problem lies. Women have been shouldering this burden. Come on. We need you to really man up and take your responsibility seriously. I thank you.
Okay.
Man up.
It's a process. It's a process. You don't train a man when he's 50 years old. You got to train a child when he's 5. So in that way, we can have a better society, but we're not doing that. That's my view. Dr. Rose?
Yes, ladies. Ms. Cole, let me start with you first. I know Mistress Chandra Paul, she's well known, but I don't think too many people know you, or if they do, I'm not aware of it. Can you give us a brief background of yourself?
Oh, I am a citizen of Guyana, working in the best interest cooperatively of all citizens, women, men, children, the elderly, the not so elderly babies. The roles that I've performed, social work is what I've been to the university and studied in both my diploma and my bachelor's. I'm currently pursuing some studies in forensic science, and that is to better the justice system. My human rights work is known. I mean, if you attempt to Google my work, you will get it over the years. And I stand on serious issues, even if it means disagreeing with the chairperson respectfully, respecting her position as chair, but still having an agree to disagree. But you do it in a case of respect so that you don't dehumanize her, because she's still human with feelings. And so for me, I am known as speaking out and speaking up. So when everybody is silent, you'll hear my voice. So when the very minister under who fire, there's a fire lit right now, when he aired against the female parliamentarian, if you go right back to Kaiser News, you'll see that I called for his removal from office. That's documented and that's history. So I am known to be consistent in my activism against wrongdoing in Guyana, regardless of which government is in office. If it's the coalition, whether it's the PPP, and there are times when you're activist, they paint you in a brush. You are the PPP. So I've had a meme drawn about me and say that I'm going to jag you for my $5,000 and some box of churches. They do horrible things. My family called me from America very upset when that was done to me in 2020, because I was vocal in the election process and the case and all of that. So I am known as a commentator, and sometimes you're going to rub the politicians up the wrong way on both sides. But I stand for human rights and human dignity.
Okay.
No dehumanization of women, children, or men under my watch. I thank you.
Okay. Mistress Chandra Paul, How long has the Women and Gender Commission have been in existence?
We were sworn in 2009. Then the chair and the deputy chair was elected in 2010, and we've been functioning since then. I would say that as a commission, and I'm always proud to say that in all the years, we're now in our 13 years, we have only taken one vote. We work through consensus, and we work well together. We have our disagreements, but generally we work well, and we have gone to the length and breadth of our country, raising issues about women and men, making recommendations to the Parliament, and trying to do what our mandate is all about. So we're very proud of the work we do in the Commission.
Okay, in its 13 years, what has the organization done specifically to improve the lives of women? In other words, bring equality to women in areas of salaries. Because women today still make 78 cents of a man's salary in Guyana. That's the latest report figure I got.
Well, we have tried to get that information because that matter was brought to our attention. And the people who are in the labor people have not given us that information in terms of whether it is true or not. Because we do not believe that in our country that is so, how I should say that we have always been fighting for the rights of women and equality, that if something like that is brought to our attention, we will not take that matter up. There are other issues that are there, but equal pay for work of equal value, we haven't heard anyone bringing such an issue to our attention. That's the first issue. We have raised awareness right across this country in terms of violence against women, the rights of women, raising awareness. Why do you think that there are issues that in the past may have occurred, but women were afraid to come forward and speak about it? It is because of the awareness that has been raised not only by our commission, but many CBOs, civil society organization, government agency. There is that is taking place, raising the awareness, letting them understand their rights, and making representations for them, and also guiding them and pointing the way forward so they can know how to deal with the issues that are confronting them. Recently, a few months ago, we had a conference in which we spoke about entrepreneurship. We spoke about women in agriculture, how they can improve their business. As a consequence of that, we were able to create a group of women who are now working together to sell their crops and to improve the way they do their work. So there are things that we're doing. As a matter of fact, about a week ago, we were discussing the issue of aging and how women who, because women tend to live longer, and their spouses, if the spouses have been the breadwinner, the women are left behind and they have to undertake all the, let's say you build a nice house when you were young and you're breadwinner, and you come together, you do that, and then suddenly he's no longer there, there is no income, and it is so hard for you to maintain that. So we will be making representations to the government via our reports to Parliament on the issue of elderly people, and there is need for more help to be given to them. I know there has been a subsidy under the previous PPP government of water and electricity for elderly people, because it's a way to help them. And we believe that those subsidies, we need them, and even a little bit of extra more money. We have spoken about it, but we have to coin the idea and try to make sure that whatever we're recommending, it is something that is doable. And so those are things that we're doing. Whether problems to do with the, let us say, labor, safety for women, we discuss with the ministry. I must tell you this: we have, as a part of what we do, we have bilaterals with organizations. We even had several meetings with the Attorney General. We have meetings with the different ministers on different issues, the Commission of Police. If we find that there are things, let's take the jury system. We have made recommendation for the jury system to be overhauled, because we have a lot of people who are in the jury, in the system. They have been there forever, and there is need to overhaul them, because we have a situation where the jury found, I think somebody who there was a story, it's not public, but that was brought to our attention. A woman was, her house was broken into, she was robbed, and she was also raped, but she was so ashamed to tell people that she was raped, and done all kinds of sorts of things were done to her. And she did not immediately in her report refer to those issues. And then when she spoke to a friend and then confided in her what had happened to her, and the friend said, go back to the police station, make a report what was done to you. And she did that. So this chap was charged for a few years for the robbery, but when the matter of the rape went to the High Court, because the jury did not understand the issue properly, because of their intellect, their understanding, because they were scraping the barrel to find a jury system. And a lot of us coming together and ask ourselves, how come we were never called to be a juror? And lots of people asking that question. So we have made the recommendation, there is need for the jury system to be overhauled. And we are hoping that it will materialize. So we actually, every ministry that we go to, we will make recommendations, and we will incorporate those recommendations in our annual report to the Parliament, so that the Parliament will have the opportunity. Our members of Parliament will, each one of them will receive a copy of that report, and they will look at it and they will decide some of those issues that fall under their respective ministry, whether they will give consideration to it and so on. Right now, we're doing an evaluation of those recommendations internally to see how we have been doing. Also, we have looked at all the laws in Guyana where the loopholes are, and have made recommendations for those as well. Okay. So our work is, apart from reaching out to ordinary women, working class and peasants and hinterland women, we also, at another level, we reach out to people who are in decision making and talking to them and making recommendations. So that's what we do.
I know.
Yeah, sorry, Nicole, if you want to add, feel free.
Mrs. China Paul, I just want to back you up here, because importantly, you should let the audience know that the Women and Gender Equality Commission is sponsoring Women in STEM.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the Women in Science Award, full sponsorship at the University of Guyana. Women who have entered into the STEM field. I think we have one in agriculture science, right, Mrs. Chandapal? We have two in the Faculty of Technology. So we are helping women to get a career in fields where it is predominantly men who dominate. So the Women and Gender Equality Commission, for the past couple of years, right, Mr. Chandapal, we have been sponsoring the Magda Pollard Women in Science Award, and we support the Institute of Gender Studies at the University of Guyana to the tune of millions of dollars. And so I would like Mrs. Chandapal to extrapolate a bit on that, because she is chair. I respect her leadership here, but I just want her to let the audience know that we're doing great things, like really supporting women where it is needed, because the monies to study, a woman can be bright, but if she don't have the means, and this is why free education from nursery to university is enshrined within the Constitution of Guyana. Because for many people with little means, you may have the brains, but if you don't have access to the resources, then all your potential dies. I thank you, Mrs. Chandapal.
No, just before.
I have to go through them. They have to ask me the question.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
just before,
I'm
no,
sorry.
yeah. Let me
I
just
apologize
ask this
to the
question.
fellow
Mr.
host.
Paul, I know in Guyana, and I've been there, I just came back from there. Every department you can think of will have meetings all day. You call people, they have a meeting all day. Frankly speaking, I don't know what those meetings produce. But my question to you is this. Specifically, can you name me 3 recommendations you have made to the government and they've implemented them? 3 only. Name me 3.
We have made recommendations to the Ministry of Human Services in terms of the issue of violence against women, in terms of the availability of, I would say, adequate social workers to deal with people who are victims of domestic violence. I think the minister has listened. We have raised the issue of the Women Leadership Institute. The minister has listened. They're doing lots of innovative things there. And we're very happy with the progress that is being made to help women. We have also, I think, Nicole, the issue with the laws, we have made recommendations, and the government, the Attorney General has listened. So there are, it's very difficult to just say that there are a few things that we have done, because our span and the way we do our work is very, I would say, it's all embracing. And I made reference to the women coming out in the agricultural conference. That was something that became a reality. Arising out of that, women from different parts of the country, they formed themselves into an organization, and now they are able to collaborate in terms of doing things in agriculture. Because we always have been saying to them, you know, it is the way to go. Women got to learn how to manage business better. They need to collaborate. They need to understand how to prepare for these investments. So there are lots of little, I've seen changes that have been made, but I don't want to steal anyone's thunder. Sexual harassment, Nicole, sexual harassment is something that we have been doing, talking about a long time ago. As a matter of fact, we have distributed thousands and thousands of posters to all the schools in Guyana. We have distributed them to the police stations. We have sent it to the interior areas, the far-flung areas. One on family violence. The second one is on sexual harassment. Those are positive things we have done. We have ensured that in all the regions, we have our billboards reminding citizens that violence is not something that should be condoned, in which we have messages. We have translated some of our public in the PAS in the languages of the indigenous people. We took messages with respect to violence and abuse and so on, translated into the 8 different languages, and we have those being heard on the radio stations in the respective regions. There are lots of things that I can bring up, but we have been advocating for a lot of things out there.
Okay. Advocating is good, but have you specifically recommend, well, I don't want you to answer this now because we have to move on. Recommend that to make these changes, X, Y, and Z must be done, and so forth. I don't know if you have done that. But my question to you, Ms.
We've done that. You see, there is a process in the way we work. The Constitution provides a mandate, and it also stipulates that you are, as a commission, you are required to lay a report on your work along with your recommendations to Parliament. And that is what we do. Additionally, in our bilaterals with the minister, we will raise various issues with them and encourage them, whether it's the police commissioner, in which we talk about safety. Let me give you one classic example. There's so much things we've done, but the in Region 3, for example, when we met the commander, we spoke about the problems in the region. What came out of that? We were able to have a training program for those police officers who were dealing with members of the public and victims who come to the police station. So that is one specific thing that I can right away think of that we have done. There are many that we have done.
Miss
Cole. And to the host, just quickly, I want to highlight something, and Mr. Shanda Paul.
Be very quick, Miss Cole, because time is of the essence for us.
Hold on. In the 2017 report to the Speaker, it is the Women and Gender Equality Commission that recommended the package of the Juvenile Justice Bill.
That's the one.
And that bill was passed in 2018.
Okay.
The very next year. So I just wanted Mrs. Shanda Paul to remember.
Yeah.
It is the women and we had a fight. Okay? But women and gender put that inside the recommendations. And because the Juvenile Justice Bill is law, there are no girls locked up at NOC for wandering, sir. Girls are no longer, there's not one girl at the New Opportunity Corps. So that is a champion bill that women and gender pushed in their recommendation in 2017 to ask the Parliament.
And I just want to add that
I thank you.
I just want to add, Dr. Rose, that we were responsible for the Institute of Gender Studies because at the University of Guyana, they had a department a women's studies group that was not functioning for a very long time. And as a result of the recommendation we made, we had a bilateral with the then Vice Chancellor, and we recommended that they should reconstitute that body. And we did, arising out of that discussion, the name was coined the Institute of Gender Studies, in which we provided $4 and $5 million on an annual basis to the Institute, in which Nicole referred to the STEM program. Those are tangible things.
Ms. Cole, in Guyana today, and I go with statistics, some people might disapprove them, 90% of all religious leaders, priests, pastors, pundits, you name them, are men. And it's a patriarchal society, I know this. But what would you recommend for this to be changed?
You've got to keep raising awareness and, of course, educating women to not be timid and afraid to take up leadership. There's a reason why some women shy away from politics. They said it's too dirty. The things which politicians, the mudslinging, some of the things that are said. You see, with patriarchy and what is now called, they've coined it toxic masculinity. Patriarchy is all about you're gonna be that testosterone in your body. You're gonna fight it out. You're gonna hit it out. You're gonna do all that. So you're gonna get dirty. Estrogen and progesterone, the hormones that is predominantly in women, we don't usually get down like that. But that's patriarchy for you. You've got to be able to fight. And so when you hear songs like you gotta think like a man and act, and you have all these different terminologies, women who dress like men just to get in the door because patriarchy is so powerful. In the fight for equality, right within the discipline services, you have the womb that's being discriminated against. So women are told that they have to pass through the same type of fitness tests, just like men. And if you want to be equal, then you have things happening when the woman gets pregnant, right here in our army, right there, they're punished. They have their promotion taken away and they're told that they're not fit. Of course you won't be fit after giving birth. Oh my God. Your body goes through so much hormonal changes. How can you be fit?
Okay.
It will take time. So men use the very natural things that occurs in women. We have premenstrual syndrome. We see our menstruation. And if we don't feel well on that day, they still will want to send you on a run and shoot, even though you're bleeding.
Okay.
Okay? And if you just give birth, no compassion. You take away benefits from a woman because of that womb. That is discrimination. That's why there is CEDAW. The Convention Against the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women is enshrined in the Constitution of Guyana.
Okay, I agree.
Patriarchy discriminates against women.
Okay.
Okay. My next question to both of you is this. Do you think there will ever be a female prime ministerial candidate for the two major parties? Do you think there will ever be a female commissioner of police? Do you think there will ever be a female chief of staff of the army? Be very brief. You, Mr. Chan, you, Mr. Chan, be very brief, please.
Okay. Your question was very garbled. I didn't hear what you said.
I said, do you think
it was very garbled? Yes.
I said, do you think
there will be?
There will be?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes.
We are coming like an express train, like the bullet train in China. You can't stop us. The women are.
We have.
Oh, we're coming.
We have
all those positions.
Women in parliament right now. We're working towards 50-50.
My question before my colleague comes on is this. Women makes up 52.2% of Guyana's population. But yet in parliament, they only only a quarter representation is there. If you're telling me that
38%.
Pardon me?
38%.
In parliament?
38%.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, stand corrected. But they're 52% of the population.
And we're working towards 50-50, by the way.
Parity, Dr. Rose. Parity.
But my question to you is this. In 1966, it was like 6 women in parliament. And today, there are about, what, 25 women in parliament. So almost half a century has passed, and it only increased by, what, 35%, even less than that. So when would you think there would be parity in parliament?
All right, let me tell you. It will happen. We are working towards it. But I want to tell you another flip side of the story of why women choose not, a lot of them, because we have had within recent times, I think it was New Zealand, it was some other countries where the women stepped down from public office.
Yeah, the
because
Prime
public office is not no easy place to be in.
Right.
And you know that once you're in a public office, your whole life, everything is about that. And people do get tired, and they choose that they want not to pursue certain things. And that is why men and women, from time to time, they will choose to walk away from positions of power because they've had enough. They don't want to continue. They probably want to just enjoy their life, But, this question of parity, when you think, yes, you talk about independence, I would say that where we started and where we are today, I think we've done well as a country. Of course, we're not satisfied because, it is not numbers only, but we should have parity. I agree with parity, but we also are encouraging women when you get into positions of power, you have to be strong, you have to stand up, you have to speak out. We don't want our women to be there and warming seats and allowing others to speak for them. You can't have that.
Okay, quickly.
I always remember the story, Dr. Jagan, when myself and Minister Chera became ministers, and somebody asked him, well, where are the other women? He said, the 2 women, they're like 10 women, right? Because they're bold and they're not afraid to speak, and they can represent themselves and their country and everybody else. So also, women professionally do not want to come forward to get involved in politics. It's a choice. We have tried
You there?
want a PhD, they want a good job, they want opportunities. You know, politics, the old politics that we know is all about service, isn't it?
Right, right.
It's about serving.
Miss
People
Cole.
are tired of that sometimes.
I know. Miss Cole, does the organization Women and Gender Equality represents the LGBT in Guyana?
Of course. If you look at the page right now, go to the Women and Gender to test the hypothesis. The question that you just asked, sir, science. If you go to the Women and Gender Equality Facebook page right now, you will see Love is Love, celebrating Pride Month.
Okay. Okay, Charles.
Ms. Cole, let's think, I mean, and again, I don't want to be confrontational, but it seems to me that you have everything against, you're really against men. There are millions of men out there who are good men. I mean, not all men are bad. Yeah, there are bad men and there are bad women. I mean, when we grew up in Guyana, women was such a beautiful species, if I can use that term. Now women drink more than men in some cases. So what are we?
What scientific data will you use to back up that statement?
No, I'm not saying I don't know data. I'm just saying my observation.
But then that statement in itself is an insult.
But I withdraw my. If that is incorrect, I withdraw it.
I can take you to the rum shops as soon as they open, and you will see mostly men there.
No, because the men drink in the open, the women drink in closed doors. We don't know that. I mean, but I'm not going to debate that. But what I'm saying is this: when I was going to school,
wrong discussion.
When I was going to school in high school, there was a subject called home economics, where only the girls went, and the boys went to technical drawing. Is that still in place now, Ms. Chandapal, or that has changed?
It has changed.
It has changed now. So the boys can go to home economics and the girls also can go into technical drawing.
You know, the boys also learn how to cook and all of that. And girls are, because there has been a shift, as I'm saying, labor-intensive nature of these things have changed. And more things are computer, they're science-based, they're automation, they're pressing a switch here. Our girls are doing everything. My CEO is a mechanical engineer.
Okay, excellent. Now,
CEO.
When we talk about,
yes, sorry, yes, yeah, I'm not against men. I love good men. I love men who make sweet love to women and ensure that they have multiple cataclysmic orgasms. That's how much I love them.
And there are many good men out there, and there are many good men.
Yes. We just want you to have the stamina, sir. I thank you.
Okay. Ms. Chandapal, when we talk about equality, what are we trying to achieve?
When we talk about equality, is the access to opportunities to make choices based on whatever you want to do. And mostly we're looking, when you talk about opportunities, your rights, we talk about your rights, whether to work, to health, all the rights that are enshrined in our Constitution, that equality, you must be free, no one must try to discriminate against you, you must be free to make those choices. It's a right to choose. That is what it comes down to.
Okay.
So we want all persons, men and women, and if our boys want to go and do homekeeping, if our boys want to be chefs, that's fine. Society must accept that. I want to make this point because I'm very concerned, and you talk about Nicole, that she is seems to be against men or whatever. She explained herself. I don't have to explain that. But I would say in a sugar estate, you're taught, even though your parents were illiterate, they teach you to learn to do all the different things, because it is always said that, you know, you can marry to a man, but one day he will fall sick or one day he will die, and therefore you must learn all these things. I grew up as a boy because our father believed in equality, that his sons and his daughters, his sons must cook and clean, and his daughters must do carpentry and climb trees and do all of that.
Excellent. The president
this is an illiterate man, didn't know how to, what quality was. So that, excuse me?
No, go on, Mr. Nepal. You're breaking up. The internet connection is breaking up sometime. Are you hearing us?
Okay.
Yeah, you're breaking up there, Mr. Nepal.
Yeah, what I'm saying that our parents.
Yeah, I think Ms. Chanapal is having some problem with her internet. But yeah, she's right. Many parents.
Am I still breaking up?
We're hearing you now.
We just heard you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay.
I haven't finished. Yeah, I haven't finished.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Let me make this point. When our women who will bash men, I will always say that stop it. You have to remember it is the women who are the ones who has the responsibility, because as it is still now, we have that responsibility. We are fighting for. But most of the time, the women still have the responsibility to ensure that the child, whether it's a boy or a girl, she has to nurture them until they're ready for school. And even when they go to school, they come back and she has to keep nurturing them. And the reference, the way our mothers bring up our boys, boys mustn't do this and boys mustn't do that. And they call their sons, they tell their sons, you're a good for nothing, or you're an anti-man, excuse my language. Those kinds of things, when they get angry with their boy child, they will say things like that. And we, from the commission, when we speak to gathering, we will always say, you have to avoid putting labels when you're talking to your children, because it is not going to help them. And a lot of boys have complained, you know, we want our boys to be strong, want to cry, and you know, we want them to be Superman. And I always say there's no such thing as Superman or Superwoman. And that is why shared responsibility is so important, so that it is true shared responsibility. You will be able to bring up a family in the way you ought to bring them up. And that is what we used to see in old times. Our mothers used to go work in the back dance, like your fathers, but still there was shared responsibility. But today it is changing, you know? And so the whole family structure is changing. Take migration that is affecting so many families all over the place. Women going out to work because they all have to share in paying the bills because of the lifestyle and the cost of living and all of that. It's a very changing world that we're living. But still, our educate our sons as well as our daughters to respect each other and do not see a woman as somebody who must cook and clean for you. Gone are those days. You have a washing machine to wash the clothes, and you have an air fryer if you want to do things, and all these things. So technology has lightened the burden of almost everyone. But you know what? There is a cost to that, and that is why women have to go out and work in order for them to have that comfortable lifestyle. It's not like our old time our mother sit with a scrubbing board and scrub away, or with a beater and beat away, or cooking a fireside or a coal pot. All them days gone. You just turn the stove on and bingo, there's fire and all that. So in this changing world, you know what? It's paying bills all the time. And all will have to contribute towards that, to paying the bill in order to have this lifestyle that everybody wants to have.
Okay, Ms. Chanapal. Ms. Cole,
this is reality.
Ms. Cole, when you when we had, I know you're only 50. You say you're a very young girl.
I'm 49.
Right, you're not even 50 yet.
In November, yeah, it's getting there. Don't worry, getting there.
Okay, happy pre-birthday greetings. When a few years ago, like in the year 2000, maybe let me go back a little further than that. In the 80s, there was like very little cars on the roads, very small amount of cars, maybe 5,000 cars, I don't know. So the roads were kind of adequate for those cars. Over the years, we have seen a proliferation of cars. Now, because of that, we had to build new roads because now the traffic is traffic jam all over the place. Similarly, Ms. Chanapal is telling us, and you're also alluding to the same fact that we have changed, we have evolved over different things. So when we are growing up, we expect the parents in the home and maybe uncles and aunts to teach us some values, what we should grow up to be. We listen to the religious leaders, the pundits or the imams or the priests to give us guidance on what we should do. Don't you think the time has now come also that for us to inculcate in the school system the roles and responsibilities of our boys and girls, so when they grow up, they know exactly, and as you rightly said, the society have changed now. So there is no specific role for either of the two, except we can't take away child. But from mother, and as you said, the father will have to be there for the mother to get the child. But does the school system now have to play an important role from kindergarten coming up to ensure that our children are prepared for the future, whatever that future is?
I thank you for the question. As you spoke, there's only one question. There's one word in my mind, which is population growth. That is what is responsible for some of the changes and everything that we're seeing. Population growth, and as the generations come, thinking improves, etc. We cannot ever not focus on the family being the first institution. You've gone to the school system. The school system is the secondary institution of socialization, sir. The first institution is the family. It is the family that produces all the citizens for the society. I will say it again. It is the family that produces all the institutions. So even in the school system, you have to have a strong PTA. PTA means the parent teachers association. You have to have parents must be involved all through the process, because it is parents, man and woman, that come together and procreate.
Miss Nicole, sorry to cut you off, sorry to cut you off, but I agree with what you're saying. What I'm saying, I agree with the family is the fundamental part of the family, of the bring up the child. But I'm saying, is it time now that we inculcate in our school system some program that will teach our kids from kindergarten to high school, when they come out of that system, they're even more prepared to face the future?
Family, and I'm saying to you, I'm answering it, that in that very system, the family have to be involved. So you have HFLE, the Health and Family Life Education Program within schools for years now. And you hear the name of it? Health and Family Life Education in the school system. So as much as you talk about the schools, we cannot shirk the responsibility of parents and the family in ensuring that what they produce are good products in the society. Right. So both the family and the education system must work together in symphony and in harmony to produce good products. So the family being the first institution of socialization, all other institutions are secondary institutions. The church, the mosque, the mandir, the tabernacle are all secondary. The primary institution is the family. All these institutions have to work together to produce that good product.
You're looking at nirvana. That's not gonna happen in school.
It's a holistic approach. I am very positive. I'm not like you. Rasta liberty is positivity. Yeah, man.
Ms. Chanapal, the president have the men on mission, mom, have you recommended to him the Women on Mission? What about WOM?
We got Women and Gender Equality Commission.
No, but the Men on Mission, they're given a huge budget to go across the country and do different things.
We
Why
have
is
a budget too.
not as the
We have a budget that is passed by the National Assembly.
okay? What is your budget this year?
Pardon?
What is your budget this year?
Well, 50 million.
And the Men on Mission is 500 million.
Well, they have I am so glad there is a Men on Mission. You know why?
No, and I'm saying, I'm asking to you, why would you suggest to the president that he have a body also called Women on Mission?
No, it's not. I would not do that.
Okay.
The women, actually, you know what men are saying now? That the women have all these organizations that are vocal and are doing things, and the men have nothing. So the men got mom. So let them go out there and convince the perpetrators of violence and all the things. Let them go.
But Mrs. China Paul, through the chair, the host, he makes a good point. The men have more resources at their disposal. So there's an unequal power relations. And this is where patriarchy derives its power. The access to resources is what they control.
I'm not gonna question the president's judgment.
No, I'm not questioning it. It's a recommendation, not a question the president, but a recommendation. You know, I was watching the news today. Up in New England, they just passed a law. Well, not a law, but you know, to apologize to the offspring of those women who were burned to the stake and killed because of witchcraft. They call them, they were witches, and they were burned. Now, in some of them were shot and killed and hung and so on. Many of the offspring is saying that a lot of these women were also suffering from they had mental illness. Don't you think, Ms. Chanapal, that a lot of our social problems has been as a result of our mental issues? And if that is so, what is your organization doing to help in addressing those issues, if that is so?
Well, what a question there. But what I would say, I don't know what you're referring to. I didn't see the news today. I didn't have time to watch it. But what I would want to say, indeed, we've had, there are various histories and various episodes of women being burned to the stake because of all kinds of belief. And also we have women put away for all kinds of reasons too. Maybe because they will inherit money, maybe the families didn't, there are problems between husband and wife or families, and you know, they say they're mad, and look, there are all kinds of situations. Not go into that, but what I'm going to say here, we do have mental health problems in our country, and we know that because of the COVID, a lot of families who could not have moved around and interacted the way they ought to, they went into depression and things like that. But there are treatments, there are places where they can go and get help, right? Gone are the days when you put them in the Burmese madhouse, as we used to say. You try to work with them and try to help them so they can overcome their illnesses. So depression is a problem, not only of Guyana, it's a world trend. Suicide is not a Guyanese problem either. Think about Japan, how much people are dying. There are many countries. So I would say we're lucky that we're a small nation, and that eventually with the health system, and by the way, the health system is not falling apart, because there are 5 new hospitals that right now are being built. The problem we have is 100 nurses in 3 months. They were lured to the United States of America. We trained them here, but then the first world country come and they offer them a good package and they leave.
You break up, Mr. Nepal. Your internet is really giving you trouble.
I'm sorry you didn't hear that part.
Yeah, can you repeat it? Because you broke. Yeah, you broke up.
Our health system is not falling apart. That the first world country, within the last 3 months, they lured 100 nurses out of Guyana to the United States of America. We who have trained them here came and promised them 3 months house rent and all of that. So your health system, not that it's falling apart, is as a result of first world countries that should spend more money in training their people are coming to third world countries to lure them to go and work there. So we have to keep training them for the export market, because the first world will not spend money in training. They prefer to go in all developed countries. The people, and of course the people will go because it's a better condition. Who don't want better conditions? But this is the unfair policy that is taking place right now.
No,
England used to do that many years ago.
All that free trade.
And now it's not.
Yes,
I know.
Yes, Ms. Cole.
I just wanted to highlight, as you talk about suicide, to bring the elephant here in the room. In 2021, there's an 18-year-old who committed suicide. She was raped by a taxi driver. The police in handling, this happened at the Cove and John police station. The police in handling that case brought the alleged victim along with the alleged perpetrator inside to confront each other, and then sought to bring up her past and to do all manner of things. The young lady went home and committed suicide. So we have suicides in Guyana occurring because of injustice, brutal sexual violence. We do not have a functioning sexual offenses task force. And in January 2023, I asked the Honorable Minister of Human Services about the report of that task force. The task force has been reconstituted, but the Human Rights Commissions don't sit on that task force anymore. Mrs. Chanda Paul will bear witness that the Women and Gender Equality Commission once sat on the Sexual Offenses Task Force. The last report of the Sexual Offenses Task Force was in 2016, when Amna Ali was the minister. We have a crisis in Guyana and a rape culture. And it is because of patriarchy and its unequal power relations, men who control big purses and plenty money, using the influence and power to perpetrate a crime with impunity that has resulted in many suicides of our young children. And don't listen to me. In 2021, Commander Kingston in Region 8, Mahdia, where we recently had that horrible tragedy of 20 lost lives. We still await the COI. I pray that President Ali acts. Alhamdulillah. Commander Kingston then reported the massive increase in rapes in the hinterland 2021 in August. And he's telling you that his rapes have increased, and he called in the agencies to do something about rape in the hinterland communities. I traveled, I've done work. Region 2, sir, is labeled Rape City. Do you know why? I have uncovered police rank who will take a bribe to cover up rape. We are talking about serious human rights violation, and we must get serious here. Region 9, there's a school, the Anai Secondary, labeled the baby factory. It is children, girls who do not get to go back to school, who drop out because of their pregnancy. Indigenous girls, indigenous people. And we have a crisis in this country that we have got to speak to. We have a rape culture that is facilitated by patriarchy, and we must call it out. We must condemn it, and we must say that rape is not normal. Rape can never be normal. Wherever rape is occurring, we must condemn it. It is not normal to sleep with children. It is a crime. I thank you.
Well, it's not only rape is a bad thing, Ms. Cole, but my recommendation would be that you your body submit a proposal to the Attorney General that men who are found guilty of rape should be castrated. That might stop rape immediately, because there is a penalty. There's a penalty for doing it.
There is laws. We have laws to deal with that. It's not as if we don't have laws. We refer to jury system. We also can talk about the sentencing policy by the magistrates. We have those. So our responsibility is to expose these things wherever it's happening, to make recommendations to stop it. That is what we try to do.
Mr. Nepal, Ms. Cole made some serious allegations there about different areas. Those are serious allegations.
Listen,
the commissions are aware. I wrote to the commissions, they are aware.
We are aware of these things. I wouldn't say we live in an ideal world. Where is the idealism that we're talking about? You yourself live in a first world country where they have all the risk. Think about all the things that are happening on a daily basis. No. We have problems. We never say we don't have problems, but we have to resolve them. We have to work to and by the way, do you know that up to 1989, violence or domestic violence was considered a family affair? No one intervened. They said if there's a fight taking place, you try to intervene, they would say, oh, don't worry with that, it's family story, we shouldn't get involved. PPP government in 1996 that made that law, and was a PPP government that helped with the creation of the help and shelter and all the things that followed, and the homes for battered women, put money and give land to make all those things possible. Because we, a woman, had recognized long years ago that these things had to be changed and to be fixed. So when we got into government, and I was nominated, elected as a minister, I started out on that. Similarly, the medical termination of pregnancy bill, we did that because those were real problems affecting women. A national policy, a national commission on women was set up to look at all the problems facing women. So there are problems in our society. Nicole referred to some, but every day when in our work that we do, each one of us, there are lots of issues that are brought to our attention. You resolve them and you move on. You keep resolving them and you move on. Because I can't catalog every day all the things I do. It would be too much. My room will be full of books of a catalog. Because people, when you have a commission or you have been in public life, people know you, they will bring their problems to you. You can't get away from that. Yeah. And things, but we are not a firefighting commission. That's not our job. Our job is to look at policies, to make recommendations and stuff like that. The Ministry
ladies,
of Human
we're out of time. We're out of time, and Dr. Rose got a lot of questions. Dr. Rose, we only have about 7 minutes more.
Mr. Strand-Paul, this is not a question, this is just a comment. I just came back from Guyana, but I spent time and time in Guyana last year, this year, and so forth. But when you talk about building 5 new hospitals, I'm from the quarantine. Skellen Hospital don't have a doctor overnight. Finish at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. No X-ray machine. Port Morant is the same thing. Blackbush Hospital is not even fit for an animal consumption. New Amsterdam, nobody knows what goes on there. So when we talk about building new ones and we have those that are not functioning, it's like we just throwing money away. So I will challenge both of you when you leave here tonight, go and call the suicide hotline and tell me when you're going to get through. We got a suicide hotline. People want to commit suicide this minute, but you go and call that number and you tell me what will happen. Anyway, my question is this. These are things that governments, they try to implement. Nobody blaming the government for this, but they have public servants who are not doing their work and is not being reported because there's no accountability system in the country. And anyone who does public policy or public administration knows that they got to be an accountability system, but Ghana don't have one. You go to any ministry and people make up their own laws as you go along. Anyway, my question to both of you is this. With the current affair, I'm not asking you to comment on it, the allegations made by that Amerindian child. As women, as your organization make any statement, issue a statement on it?
Of course we did. We did.
Okay. Okay.
We always do.
Okay. It's just that I didn't see it, but maybe I didn't look properly. Okay. In Guyana right now.
It's published on our Facebook page, and it was published in the press, carried by all the printed news. We encourage you to read it. Stabrook News, iNews, but you can find it on the Women and Gender Equality Commission Facebook page. It's published there too.
Now, you said that Guyana is changing. Well, let me say this to you. Go to the newspapers and look for an ad. If you talk about equality, gender equality, look for an ad of a domestic servant. And it specifically mentioned women. Men can be domestic servants too. So that's where the change has to come from those people. You can't go apply for a job as a domestic servant as a male. The guy will turn you out from his door. He's looking for a woman to come there. That's how the society operates. But the real question I want to ask you, there is no equality among the races. We know this. How do you think we'll have gender equality if the races are not treated equally in the country?
I don't know that people are treated unequal because there's access to all. No.
Come on, you know that.
No. I've raised this issue at the Ethnic Relation Commission and requested that they should get somebody to go and do the research on all allegations of discrimination, and let's do the research. I want that to happen because there are lots of that are being made. Let's start with housing. I know what has been happening in the housing sector. Everyone, once you have children and you have the possibility to pay for a piece of land, you will get a piece of land. So come up.
There is class
I don't buy that. No. I don't agree with that statement.
No, but there is class inequality.
The people who have been discriminated more than anybody in this country are the indigenous people, and we're working to straighten that out. They're the only.
And the Africans.
People that.
And the Africans, the people that
let me
came here in the place. Yes, and the Africans.
No,
Nicole,
I don't believe that.
Just
the PNC government has been in power for 33 years.
Just hear me on this one. And this is reality.
We
can't be in denial of this reality.
33 years, the PNC government has been in power.
Mr. Chanapal, just hear me on this.
Forget that?
Yeah, but just hear me on this one. When one government gets into office, if it's an Afro government, Indians are being denied stuff. If it's an Indian government, blacks are being denied stuff. That's a reality. We can't.
That's not true.
We can't be denied.
It's a perception. Why was Hoy called Desmond Facade?
No, that's not a perception.
It's a perception.
That's the reality in Guyana.
No. Take the whole public service, take the whole army, take all the services. I want to tell you something, Dr. Rose. Do you know I, as an East Indian, could have only in 1957 had access to an education through the school because all the schools were controlled by churches, and you had to either convert to Christianity or Christianity.
You're missing my point. You're missing my point. I'm saying the reality in Guyana is this, and it's not perception, is that if the Afro government, if a PNC government is in office, Indians are being denied certain things. And if a PNP government is in office, blacks are being denied certain things. And if you want to call it a perception, then it's good. It's good for you. But I'm saying to you, I'm not talking about who was being denied years ago. That's the reality. So there's no equality in the system for both races. I'm not blaming one government or the other. Both are acting in the same manner. Now, President Ali is trying to change that, but it's an upper task for him to change it, But if you want to tell me that it's not true,
no, I disagree with you.
Okay, fine. You can disagree with me. That's okay.
I will tell you it is not true because I know, and I will tell you there is a concerted effort that is being made by the government to help all races. And anyone who keep making that claim, it's not factual. Because, and that is why, let me say this, I've asked the Ethnic Relation investigation, all these charges that are being made there, that is what they should be doing. So that all these things we put it for once and for all, lay them to rest about this claim of discrimination.
One of the things beating a lot of people, they're not on the ground to talk to people. I traverse that country.
Don't worry, I'm on the ground.
I covered every region, and I got about 400 pages here. I spoke to the people on the ground. This is now being done in that country. Only when election time they go on campaign and they're gone. So if you want to be in denial of what I'm saying, that's okay. I'm not disputing that. You can be in denial, or you can say it's not true.
You know what happened.
But the reality of the ground is something else. I can tell you one time now. I can tell you this now as an example. On the Public Assistance Committee up in WIM, they have 6 members. All are Indians. And when Upton was there, they had 2 blacks. I asked the chief of that committee, I said, why is it all of you guys are Indians and so forth? And blacks are claiming that when they apply for public service, they're being denied. He told me in plain terms, and I'm quoting him, this is an Abiy government, this is not Abdu government. So this is what's happening on the ground.
No,
so I'm saying, when you're on the ground,
something like that should be exposed.
No. I can call 10 different, Ms. Chandra Paul, I can call 10 different organizations. You have the same thing in Guyana. I can give you examples of them. I'm not talking off my hat because I went there and I spoke to these people. I went there.
Dr. Rose, Ms. Chandra Paul, Ms. Cole, we are coming, our program has come to an end.
Program.
Yeah, but
So my point is, when I make a claim, so when I make a claim, it's not a claim that I'm making.
Yes, Dr. Rose, I just want to say this.
Okay, Ms. Cole, before you go, we're closing now, so can you make a closing statement and then we'll close.
Certainly, and here is what I'm saying, Dr. Rose. I was stunned as a social worker. Take off my shade so you can see my eyes. I called the 914 hotline to report abuse of children. And do you know what shocked me? When I was asked what is the ethnicity of the children, I burst into tears. For the first time in my life, calling a hotline, it has never happened before. You are asked what is the ethnicity of the children. And I took this matter to the commissions. Both commissions that I sit on, I felt so bad because if I say to you the children are of African descent, do you determine that they don't get services? I think that questioning should be shelved from the 914 hotline. You do not ask any caller what is the ethnicity of the children. You are supposed to respond to children regardless of race when a call is coming in about abuse. I thank you.
Ms. Chandra Paul, anything in closing?
No, I just want to thank you for the opportunity for us to speak about some of the issues. I mean, we had to end up with a little disagreement. I disagree with Dr. Rose, and that's fine. And I hope, and as I said, that I will speak to the minister about the whim, and so that she is aware of what people are saying. You see, if we don't, these things are not brought, they're left unanswered, you know, then people continue to do these nonsense, which they ought not to do, because of turning a blind eye to bad behavior. And people say all kinds of things. I can tell you what somebody told me yesterday happened at the immigration office and how she felt discriminated. An ethnic relation commission, you write them and tell them what happened to you as an overseas guy. And the council were told one thing, and when you came here, the woman chased you out of the office. So that is something, but at the same time, chase you out, but others were not chased out. So these are the things that we need to expose. I am not saying that it's our workers, they all behave bad. They're there. And when we find them, we deal with them. Just like the man told Dr. Rose about Abiy government, ridiculous. This government is for everybody. Once you're a poor person, you have a need, we must look after you. It's not about, you know, that is ridiculous. And that is why I'm glad you raise it, and I will raise it further. So thank you all very much for the opportunity to share on the issues that we have been speaking about. And look, there is a lot of work that has to be done to work with men and women, and I'm hoping that the men on purpose will do what they're supposed to be doing. We are doing what we're supposed to be doing, but we don't live in an ideal situation. Idealism is not something that you aspire for. You're going to try to correct a lot of the ills that society have, and you're going to spend thousands of years working to change it. It won't change like that, right? People will continue because they're people we're dealing with. We're dealing with people.
And change takes time as well. People don't like change, and it takes time to, yeah. Dr. Rose, anything in closing?
Yeah, Mr. Chandapal, this is just a comment, 10 seconds. It's not one organization like this. I reported about 6 of them to the high authorities. You know what I was told? We are going to investigate. That was since last year, summer. Summer is here now, and it still remains the same. We are going to investigate. Anyway, those are things that I came across on the ground, and that's what I do as a researcher. So, but on the other, my closing comments is this. I'm asking for increased wages for public servants. President Ali is on the right track. He just announced he'll give increased teachers' salaries and so forth. My colleague Charles is asking for $200 a month. I'm saying 150. Now, I'm also asking for the retirement age to be increased from 55 to 62, because at 55, some of our best brains are retiring and leaving the country and give their expertise to other countries, the developed countries. If we increase that, we can still employ the youths, but at least we can keep those people back in Guyana to serve our communities. I'm also asking for an improvement in the internet services. It is lousy. You can't call someone in Guyana and be on the phone for 2 minutes without that reconnecting coming on. And I don't know why this is so difficult. It's a simple solution. Establish more stations in the various communities, and this problem will go away. But somewhere, some of the road, people don't want to spend the money. So those are my 3 comments tonight. And I must thank both of you for coming on. It was a wonderful, well, Ms. Cole is the first time I'm having you on, but with Ms. Chandapal, she has a head of brains that you learn from every day. So I must thank both of you for coming on, and thank you again.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Chandapal. It's a pleasure having you, and we look forward to have you again. Ms. Cole, we want to wish your commission all the best, and I know your task is not easy, but as I said, you know, one brick we can build a road on, so it takes time to build. Change is very difficult. Yeah, one dirty, right? But change is very difficult. People don't want to accept change sometimes, but we have to keep moving on because the world is a very dynamic environment we live in. And things
women's
change.
rights are human rights.
Amen.
Children's rights are human rights. These are human rights commissions.
Well, I will say it this way: human rights are human rights.
but I did some research. I did some research in the Women and Gender Commission.
Men's rights are human rights too.
Amen. That's it.
We have the right to help us with the baby.
All right, we gotta run now. So thank you, Gus. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Noah. And we wish our country all the best. And I know this week the Muslims will be celebrating Eid al-Adha, Bakr Eid. We want to wish all our Muslim brothers and sisters Eid Mubarak, and I wish them all the best. Share your meal with your neighbors and your friends, and I think you'll be blessed with that. So again, good night, everyone.
And I just want to say this though. I did some research on the all commission, and you all doing a fantastic job indeed. I look at what you all are doing, and if the authorities listen to you all and the recommendations you all are making, the country will transcend indeed. Believe me.
Thank you so much. God bless. Take care. All right, bye now.